Vola anguela o veteronugu, ako itabua. Ako do talitay na barong na Bula FM, nambanduan na sir.
Bula, alang gono ilutoka do talita ka ng Bula FM berarti ni nambanduan na sir.
Ni Bula binaka, nanregen go sa Bula FM nga. Na kasi.
Nalang go sa mundo atibyo ng Bula FM nambanduan na sir nusur.
Ni Bula binaka, nalang go Jerry, yang may lambasa. Do barong.
In the news tonight, revealed substandard meat found in shops. Climate change bill explained. And accountants tell about the continuing money laundering and cybercrime activities.
From the studios of FBC Suva, Amrita Sagar.
The quality of meat sold in some supermarkets can only be described as disgusting and unfit for consumption. FBC News Tonight can show you some exclusive pictures of substandard quality meat being sold on a daily basis by supermarkets and stores. The Fijian Competition and Consumer Commission says they are aware of the low-quality meat not fit for consumption. Koroi Tandalala tells us more.
The FCCC has been receiving reliable information from sources within some supermarkets on certain things that could be contributing to poor quality meat.
What we find is that generally, because standards have not existed as to how the meat should look like, what should be the temperature of the freezer, generally this is left to businesses. And what businesses do, and I've been reliably informed by some staff that work at some of these supermarkets, they say, look, we don't want to come up and say it, but at night we turn off some of these freezers.
We took to the streets today to ask Fijians what they think of the standard of meat being sold in some supermarkets.
No, I wouldn't buy it.
Why?
Because it's disgusting.
Would you buy that meat?
No.
Why?
Because it looks ugly.
The Consumer Council, through its own monitoring work, has also noted a slow rise in discolored meat being sold in certain outlets.
There have been cases where should not have been sold because it has discolored or was thawed. So in those cases, meat has been condemned, yes. Once again, I would like to urge the consumer, should you see that you are about to buy a meat product which does not seem fit for consumption, please don't do so.
Both the FCCC and the Consumer Council is urging Fijians to report any supermarket that is found selling discolored or bad meat. Consuming bad meat can lead to food poisoning. Koroi Tandalala, FBC News.
Discussion on Fiji's new climate change bill was held during the Asia-Pacific Judicial Conference on Environmental and Climate Change Education in Nadi today. Attorney General Ayasayed Qayyum told participants the bill will include a framework on emissions reduction, central carbon trading, and a commitment to relocate vulnerable groups amongst other crucial provisions. Felipe Naikaso reports.
Serious matter, it is in fact a matter of crisis.
While stressing the importance of working together in the fight against climate change, the Attorney General also stated that Fiji will continue to take a lead role.
We also in New York launched what we call our Relocation Trust Fund. We have 43 villages that have been identified that need to be moved to higher ground. We've already relocated 3. Now there's another 43. It not only comes with costs, but also has implications for land ownership, land title ownership.
As climate change impacts intensify across the region, this conference is to address climate litigation, sustainable development law, and necessary policies on judicial training.
We must not lose foresight of the fact that we play an important role in protecting the rights of all individuals to have a safe and healthy environment, which of course would be subject to certain limitations such as national security, economic policy, and availability of resources.
The question, however, does arise when you have certain island countries that are only 12 feet above sea level. And if they have a string of islands, and if those islands actually start going underwater, where do you start measuring the EEZ from? Do you measure the EEZ from the sunken islands, or do you go back and measure from the island that is actually above water? These are critical issues.
Other topics that will be discussed during the 2-day conference include climate justice and disasters, a Pacific perspective, gender-inclusive disaster risk reduction and management, and plastic pollution in oceans. Felipe Naikaso, FBC News.
The Fiji Institute of Accountants says money laundering and cybercrime activities remain a concern. Fronting the Standing Committee on Economic Affairs, Institute President Nitesh Lal says work is in progress to create more awareness amongst its members on the issue. Ali Kimbia with the story.
The FIA is doing all it can to protect the country from financial crime and is targeting young accountants who face more risks of becoming tempted to these illegal activities.
As mentioned earlier, we provide our members with professional development programs, and it is through such programs we engage FIU to come and present to our members on FIU's vision, mission, objective and strategic goals, and how we as accountants can assist them to achieve these goals and objectives. They work together hand in hand to achieve the vision of this protecting our country from financial crimes and money laundering.
For the FIA, introducing more educational programs and dialogue is the way forward for local accountants. However, the Standing Committee on Economic Affairs has suggested for more stringent policies.
So, the proceeds of crime, if it's coming from a drug-related activity, somebody is trying to convert the black money into white money, and these are places where we can.
Some organizations had no written anti-money laundering policy. Most were not fully aware of their reporting obligations under the FTR Act.
Currently, the Fiji Institute of Accountants has more than 800 members in Fiji and abroad. Ali Kimbia, FBC News.
The Public Rental Board says the amount owed in rental arrears continues to decrease. During their submission to the Standing Committee on Social Affairs, it was revealed that PRB is owed $91,884 in rental arrears for 2018. Lena Rees has more.
As the Public Rental Board continues to recover rent owed, they are now also working with various banks on standing orders for those previous and current tenants who are in arrears.
We had a bit problem because before the bank transfers the portion to pay the rent, the tenant would have withdrawn that. But with the bank standing orders, which we are exploring it very hard now, is for a specific arrangement that the rent will be transferred first before the tenant accesses any balance of the funds.
With funding being highlighted as a major constraint of the PRB, committee member Salote Randronro then questioned why a rent arrear is not listed in the 2017 annual report as a major constraint.
Even for the last 3 years, you have a total of 355,000 as rental arrears.
If you look at the rent arrears through 2016, 17 and 18, there's a reducing trend in the total arrears.
Theo adds that aside from the rental arrears, the Public Rental Board collected $3.9 million in 2017. Lena Rees, FBC News.
The Legal Aid Commission says some people are not aware of the importance of making a will for their properties. Director Shaheen Ali says they receive a lot of complaints in this regard, and the Commission is now advising those needing assistance. Catherine Krishna reports.
The Commission Director says people think that if they don't have businesses, then property wills are not important.
People who are farmers, or those who are sort of poor, I would say, they thought that only persons with a fancy house or a luxurious car, a lot of money in the bank, can leave a will or draft a will.
Shaheen Ali says this is not the case.
Even a farmer can make a will, of course. You know, he's got a property, he's got a piece of land where he's actually farming that land. You've got farming equipment and tools that obviously can also be willed and left behind.
Meanwhile, we asked some people about the importance of making a will.
Drafting a will is important as parents can decide whom the property should go to.
It is very important to have a will, right? In case dad or mom passes away, and you don't want to have any infighting amongst the kids.
I think making a will is very important nowadays.
The Legal Aid Commission is urging Fijians to take advantage of their free services and gain information on how to draft a will for their property. Catherine Krishna, FBC News.
Up ahead, disaster awareness planned for Taviuni. And preparations for Fiji Day progresses, details after the break.
Bula, I'm Miri, I'm from Lotoka and I love Gold FM because they play all my classic hits.
Hi, my name is Fiona from Tavua, and I love listening to Gold FM, only the classic hits.
Hi, I'm Ini from Raki Raki. I love Gold FM, only the classic hits.
The National Disaster Management Office has activated operations in light of the flash flood warning issued by the Nandi Weather Office. Acting Director Litiana Banimarama says they are monitoring the situation around the country. She adds that NDMO is ready to act at a moment's notice should there be any flash flooding.
We're preparing for flash flooding, and we're just sending out public advisories just to advise the public should the weather deteriorate, that they should be prepared to evacuate to the nearest evacuation centers, but to also be prepared with their families.
National Disaster Awareness Week will be held in Taviuni next week. Acting Director for National Disaster Management, Litiana Banimarama, says they hope to improve disaster preparedness in all communities and reduce damage and losses. Fiji is ranked at the 10th highest disaster-prone country in the world, and Tropical Cyclone Winston serves as an example of the risks we face. Banimarama says while the event will be held in Taviuni, the message will be sent out to all of Fiji.
The NDMO is committed to provide as much awareness as possible to the people of Taviuni, and I urge them to fully utilize this opportunity to learn, share their experiences, and scale up their understanding on disaster preparedness and become resilient.
Being diagnosed with cancer and opting for an operation does not stop one from living their life. Salotengalo is testimony to this. While sharing her personal experience, she highlighted that cancer is a disease that does not discriminate and can only be treated through early diagnosis. Kritika Kumar reports.
71-year-old Salotengalo was diagnosed with breast cancer in 2014 and opted for the operation.
There was a lump on my left breast, and it was becoming a bit bigger, like a peanut size. I was worried because of the public perception about, and I know this is cancer. And when you have that, the common belief, when you have cancer, you are dying already.
Gallo says she didn't go through any chemotherapy as she was diagnosed at an early stage, and now, after the operation, she is living a happy and healthy life.
And I decided to be happy, even though I'm cancer-free, I'm 100% pain-free, but I know my journey is not over. So what do I do to keep me happy? Be with positive people, wear jewelry, which I normally don't do.
It took her around 2 years to openly talk about her journey.
I still go to the nightclub to just meet other people, talk to them, not to go and drink, just to enjoy myself. Yeah, as I already said, I want to forget those things, and it's hard for us to come out into the public domain.
Meanwhile, this month is designated Pinktober to increase awareness of breast cancer and raise funds for cancer patients. Kritika Kumar, FBC News.
A market is now available for pulse crops in Fiji. Pulses are the edible seeds of plants in the bean family. However, more work needs to be done to encourage and identify farmers who can produce pulses in large volume. Apanisa Mangairandovo reports the Agriculture Ministry has announced that Friend Fiji, a non-governmental organization, is interested in bulk purchases.
The ministry is ready to assist farmers who want to venture into pulse farming.
They are willing to buy any amount of pulses. You interested? We'll give you the seeds once, and then after that you maintain your own seeds, and we will take it from you. We will sell it, we will guarantee your price.
Friend Fiji confirmed it has had discussions with the Minister for Agriculture, and they are still trying to find the volume Fijian farmers could produce. The minister also said the organization has yet to make a draft of the kind of pulses they want, as well as their prices. Friend Fiji has also showed interest in buying red Pontiac potatoes produced by farmers in Nandarivatu. Apenisa Wangrandovu, FBC News.
Fiji Day celebrations are well underway, with the event culminating this Thursday. A host of activities have been planned across the country for October 10th. And Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Defence, Manasa Lesuma, says the event will give every Fijian an opportunity to reflect and celebrate 49 years of Fiji's progress and growth. Maggie Boyle reports.
Fiji will celebrate 49 years since her independence this week, and the government is ensuring it's a memorable event.
Well, I think it's a progressive and sustainable Fiji for all. We thought that it would be a good thing basically for this year, basically noting how we've progressed.
Celebrated across the country, the major draw card will be activities planned in the capital.
The main center would be here in Suva, which will be officiated by His Excellency the President. The day begins basically with a parade by the Fiji military forces and the Fiji police force and corrections.
Meanwhile, more than 400 personnel will be involved in the military parade.
We'll be providing detachments of military and naval personnel for the Fiji Day Parade. There are also personnel from the Fiji Police Force and probably from the Fiji Correction Services as well.
$250,000 has been allocated for the celebration proper. Maggie Boyle, FBC News.
And now it's business time with Kelly.
Thanks, Amrita. Coming up after the break. RBF records mixed sectoral performance for August. And in growing Fiji, work on Queen Elizabeth Drive begins. Stay with us.
Hi, I'm Shamiza. And I'm Salma. We're from Nandi and we love Mirchi FM because it's hot.
My name is Rajnita Lata and I'm from Vatula Lobak. और हम सब मिर्ची FM सुनता है because it's hot. Hi, my name is Vinita. I'm from Lambasa. I love listening to Mirchi FM. It's #1.
हमारा नाम सागर रेड्डी है. हम लोग स्कूल में, हम लोग घर में और
Leading business economic activity on the global stage remains sluggish, with growth slowing in the second quarter for most of Fiji's major trading partners. On the domestic front, the Reserve Bank in its latest economic review says sectoral performance to date remains largely mixed. Visitor arrivals rose by 4.4% in the year to August due to higher arrivals from the United States, New Zealand, Japan, Australia and the Pacific Island countries. Similarly, mahogany production rose while wood chips, pine wood, sawn timber and gold output fell. The RBF says cane and sugar outputs declined in the first 15 weeks of crushing but are expected to surpass last year's production levels. The RBF says investment activity continues to weaken. Commercial banks' new investment lending fell cumulative to August due to a decline in lending to both real estate and building and construction sectors. Sinifa from HFC Bank joins us now with the latest from the money world.
Thank you. Let's review the trading results of the stock market for the last week. Over 862,000 shares exchanged hands in 65 transactions, valued at more than $997,000. 11 entities recorded trading and 7 noted share price changes. Fiji Care Insurance shares rose by 5 cents and ended the week at $2.35. FMF Food shares increased by 15 cents, closing at $2.05. Kontiki Finance showed an increase of 9 cents and ended the week at $1.08 per share. Port General Marina recorded growth of 6 cents and concluded the week at $1.91. RB Patel Group closed the week at $9.03, noting a 1 cent increase. Fijian Holdings Limited shares dropped 4 cents, closing at $1.20, and BSP Convertible Notes Limited decreased by $1.50 to end the week at $22. The overall market capitalization rose by 0.5%, ending the week at a value of $3.42 billion. That's a wrap from our local stock market, Pinaka.
Thanks, Sinifa. Here are today's exchange rates as set this morning. It was a mixed day for the Fiji dollar, which rose against the Chinese yuan, the US dollar and the PNG kina, but fell slightly against the Kiwi, the Aussie and the other currencies we cover. On the commodities market, oil prices rose a few cents, remaining above $52 per barrel. Gold fell a few cents at over 1,507 per ounce, and silver was down slightly at $17.58 per ounce. In growing Fiji, major upgrading on Queen Elizabeth Drive in Nasese is underway. Fiji Roads Authority is the Fiji Roads Authority's contractor, the China Railway 5th Group, has its heavy machinery at the site as road rehabilitation begins. Approximately 2.9 kilometers of Queen Elizabeth Drive will see a major upgrade, including the construction of new roundabouts, cycling lanes, footpaths, car parks, and new bus stops. The 2-year project will be carried out in 3 phases at an estimated cost of $12 million. And the government continues to fulfill its commitment to people on remote islands getting access to electricity and water. Infrastructure Minister Choni Usamate recently commissioned a solar home system project and a water tank in the village of Narovido in Nayau on the island of Lau. Usamate says access to power is an enormous advantage, enabling villages to be more productive and accomplish far more on a daily basis. Meanwhile, the minister also commissioned a solar home system project in Vanuatu. He says the positive impacts from these infrastructure developments will provide a step up in life and enable villages to achieve greater things. That's it from Business Tonight. Sports is up next with Jamie.
Thanks, Kelly, and good evening. Up ahead in sports, McKee makes one change for Wales match.
Navango merea maramani waya manatuya sawa aweti kitunde nandi ya ndo marata kana varonga na radio Fiji 1.
Yawo asna vatili yawo maga Monica. Tondo varonga vale bona doma ibiti lambasa.
Bula nadango aprosa ngarse go erkraki do televe na varonga na radio Fiji 1 na doma ibiti. Nadango tsani bukia ngoni na mosi am do taleta kana varonga na radio Fiji 1.
Flying Fijians coach John McKee has named his team to take on Wales this Wednesday in their final Pool D clash at Rugby World Cup 2019. He's made one change to his first 15 against Georgia. William Mata starts ahead of Pedeliato in the back row. 7 of the players who started against Wales at Rugby World Cup 2015 start this match. Kampizi Maafu, Manasa Saulo, Tevita Tavumbati, Leone Nakarawa, and Dominico Wangari Murotu, Ben Volvola, and Lepani Botia were all part of the team that lost to Wales 23-13 at the last World Cup. The Flying Fijians take on Wales at 9:45 p.m. Wednesday. The Flying Fijians arrived in Oita City, Japan for their captain's run ahead of the final pool match against Wales, hoping to repeat their 2007 World Cup victory against the Welsh. Coach John McKee says it's now down to executing their game plan. Sabe Wanga with the story.
Upon arrival into Oita City, Coach McKee says he has been studying the Welsh side and its players.
We'll see Wales, putting plenty of high balls in the air and using, tall players like George North to try to gain advantage there. So, it's not the kick game. It's not just about what happens in the air. It's what happens after that, and around the either ball carries or ruck areas. So, it's going to be a good contest out there.
As McKee named his final 23, he says the boys see this game as a challenge and an opportunity to finish their pool on a high.
Whatever happens in the game next Wednesday, it's in our hands. That's what our focus is, and we want to make sure that we put on the best performance we can, because to do well against such a good team as well, so we need to be absolutely on top of our game.
Sevu Reece continues his dream run with the All Blacks, scoring a brace of tries against Namibia yesterday at the Rugby World Cup. The champions gradually shook off a scruffy opening to become 71-9 winners with 11 tries, a result that puts them firmly in control of Pool B and homing in on a quarterfinal spot. French relief was matched by Tongan Pride yesterday after a thrilling match that brought back many memories of when they last met in the Rugby World Cup 8 years ago. The Pacific Islanders won that game in Wellington 19-14 for their greatest day in their rugby history. But this time, France held on for a 23-21 victory, which means they join England in qualifying for the quarterfinals from Pool C. Fijian Oliver Tiraka set up fellow countryman Virimi Vakatawa and then created a try for himself to cement a 17-7 lead at halftime. The Fiji Airways Fijiana Sevens finished 11th at the Glendale Sevens in the USA over the weekend. English champions Manchester City have fallen 8 points behind Liverpool in the title race after suffering a shock 2-0 home defeat against Wolves in the Premier League. Elsewhere, Manchester United also lost, while Arsenal and Chelsea recorded wins. Sydney Roosters defeated the Canberra Raiders 14-8 to win the 2019 NRL Grand Final last night. The Roosters led 8-6 at halftime. Hooker Sam Verrills and fullback James Tedesco crossed the line for the Roosters, while Raiders fullback Jack Whiten scored their only try. Now, play of the day, we take you to the Women's World 7 Series, and Elia Green opening up the floodgates for Australia in their 40-0 Cup semi-final win over France. That's it from Sports Tonight. Right after the break, and new media tips on how to delete some of your old embarrassing Facebook posts. That's coming up.
रहता है, हमारा नाम उमेश कुमार, हम रहता है लेबू और रेडियो फीजी में हरदम सुनता है, बहुत पुराना गाना लगे और बहुत रोज सुनता है, बहुत अच्छा लगे हमको।
उमेश चंद्रा और कांता चंद्रा हमारा वाइफ है, हम लोग रेडियो फीजी 2 बहुत सुंदर से सुनता है, बहुत अच्छा प्रोग्राम, नंबर 1 रेडियो।
कुमार स्वामी नायक है, गोंगो लेबू लटोका, रेडियो फीजी 2 में पुराना गाना लगे, हमें बहुत अच्छा लगे।
कुमार नकाफी में रहता है, रेडियो फीजी 2 सुनता है।
रेडियो फीजी 2, देश की धड़कन।
And it's now time for weather.
It was a rained out weekend over most part of the country except in the west, and more rain is on the way. In the west, they had rain overnight and early today, but saw some sunshine during the afternoon. Eastwards from Peck Harbour to Suva, it was cloudy with showers and heavy rain at times. And up north, more cloud and rain. At seas, easterly winds at 20 to 25 knots and moderate to rough seas. For the tides, the next low tide will be at 8:07 tonight with high tide at 2:15 a.m. Sunrise will be at 5:43. In the morning, of course. For tomorrow, expect cloudy skies and rain, heavy at times with a chance of thunderstorms in most areas. After a cool night, tomorrow's temperatures are expected to be in the mid to high 20s. And looking further on to Wednesday, expect more cloud and showers. And that's the weather. I'm Rita.
Thanks, Kritika. In Fijian Pulse segment tonight, we asked, do you think the quality of meat sold in shops and supermarkets should be reviewed?
For me, it's a yes, because sometimes when we come to buy it, we can see some expired items are there, and yeah.
It's a nice one. If the customer wants to buy, they never give the good one sometimes. It's not nice.
Plenty fats there, and the price too much high. That's not good for the customers to buy them.
Lunch is very expensive. And sometimes you can see it's not a good quality, like doesn't look like fresh.
Some meat have been left for too long, sometimes for 2 to 3 months, and we don't really know its condition, and we don't know if this is fresh meat, and this is why I don't buy meat very often.
In the world of the weird and the wonderful, a 30-year-old paralyzed man is able to walk again with a mind-controlled exoskeleton suit. The French man, who has been paralyzed for 4 years now, has 2 implants surgically placed on the surface of his brain, which controls the suit. That certainly is wonderful. Now, recapping the main stories. Revealed substandard meat found in shops. Climate change bill explained. And accountants tell about the continuing money laundering and cybercrime activities. For these stories and others, you can tune in daily to our sister radio station Gold FM. Onto our poll questions segment. Last week we had asked, is rugby union becoming too reliant on video refereeing? 73% said yes. Well, this week we're asking, do you think the quality of meat sold in shops and supermarkets should be reviewed? You can visit our FBC website to answer. Well, before we go, the glowing embers of the bonfire, leaping and twirling in a fiery dance, captured in Singatoka during a weekend getaway. Or you can send us newsworthy pictures and videos on email fpcnews@fpc.com.fj or share it with us via our Facebook page FPC News. You can also follow and tweet us those news tips at FPC News or simply hashtag FPC News. And that was your FPC News for tonight. Until next time, good night.
Mulai here, Tavwa, we love Today FM. Today FM rocks.
Bulaminaka, I'm Linda Fong. I studied Suva. I love listening to Today FM because they play latest music and they rock.
Hi, my name is Osnate. I'm from Ba. I love listening to Today FM. Today FM rocks.
Bula, I'm a curator from Nandi. We love listening to Today FM. Here in Nandi, it rocks.
Hi, I'm Shania. I'm from Lotoka and I love Today FM and it rocks.
Today's hit music on Today FM.